And finally, in this chapter, we get to see the arc Maxim, and we get to see Luffy finally bust out of the damn snake.
One Piece chapter 277, Maxim.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to dance and jump in front of the camera and bring you another review on an older chapter of One Piece, of course. But that's what I do, and that's certainly, I guess, some of the charm and fun of it. So, anyway, we'll get right into it. The last chapter really saw us with things leaving off, of course, on a bit of a cliffhanger. Nami had, with the only choice she really had was to go with Enel, and we presume they just kind of went walking off towards whatever they were going to do. The chapter ended with everybody back on Angel Island, up in arms, and kind of, you know, talking about Conus and Pagaya and how they were these wanted fugitives because they went against the, you know, the rule of the god and blah, blah, blah. And that's how the chapter left off. That's immediately where the chapter picks up, and we wind up seeing, you know, Conus is, I mean, she is just riding on that waver straight towards Angel Island. They're all like, hey, her, hey, you know, and then it just kind of, boom, it cuts out to the next part. The next portion is several pages, and it's actually pretty cool because we get to see Nami is already starting to scheme, and he's just like, you just see this word bubble, and he's like, are you really bringing that with you? You won't need that where we're going. And she's like, well, I mean, I don't have to, but, you know, it's my favorite. And he's like, do as you wish. And you see that she's bringing the waver with her, right? Because she's thinking, ooh, escape plan. I got to get the hell out of here. So it's funny because as they go and kind of walk into this area, this almost looks like a tent, a covered over thing, and she sees him, and then all of a sudden she's like, you know, and he's like, oh, yes, I get that reaction a lot and everything. And you wind up seeing it's because this is the first time that they've actually revealed a picture, what the arc Maxim actually looks like. And I mean, this thing, God, I can only think back to like my days of playing like some of the Final Fantasy games. And when you would get an airship, that's the only thing I can really think of to compare it to. It's cool. It's massive looking. He explains to us that it is unique. It's one of its, you know, it's the only one of its kind, and that it runs on lightning power, which he happens to have an excess of, but he needs a conduit for it to get it moving. And anybody who knows anything about minerals and things like that knows that gold is a great conductor for electricity. That's why a lot of times you'll find gold-tipped, gold-plated, gold this, you know, different type of wiring and stuff like that, because it is a better conductor. So, very cool stuff, and we find out that's why he's obviously, you know, even took all the gold to begin with when he found it there in Upper Yard on Skypiea, because he's using it for an entirely different purpose, you know, as opposed to, oh, I'm rich now, I can do whatever I want, you know. He's it's very cool, I think. And like I said, that picture was just killer to go and to show that. And it was funny because prior to that picture, she's sitting there and she's just like, oh man, she's like, well, if there's a thing like that, and she's thinking Nami's thinking in her head to herself, like, how the hell am I going to escape if we're going to be up in one of these, you know? So, you know, cool, but kind of a sinking feeling at the same time, because it's just like, oh God, what did she get herself into, you know? And, man, I tell you, this is cool the way this arc is structured, because it's not just like this build-up and crescendo with some smaller battles, and I'd have to do a separate video on the way the different arcs have gone, but as they've kind of gotten bigger and on a larger scope with these main arcs, you know, with Alabasta and now Skypiea, there's similarities that make them both great, but there's also these differences that make them unique, and it feels fresh, and it doesn't feel like we're just doing the same thing again. Okay, now the big battle. Okay, now the, you know. So very cool how little pieces of this information, and there was many different sides, not just, you know, good or bad or Luffy or whoever he's against, you know. So very cool stuff. The rest of the chapter takes us back to the ruins of Shandora with the aftermath of bodies laying everywhere. The ruler of the sky is laying there just kind of slumped over a building, as he, of course, took one of those El Thor things right to the head, it looked like, from Enel. And we go and we see through a series of funny pictures and panels, all of a sudden Luffy go and appear in one of its eyes, and it's something like straight out of like a cartoon, like a Looney Tunes cartoon, you know, where you go and you see him, and he actually opens up the eyelid, but he's actually like behind the eyeball, it looks like, and him and Aisa are trying to pound to get out, and like in the snake's eye, you know. Then a couple panels later, you see the mouth open up finally, you know, and they come sliding out, and Luffy's like, oh yes, I'm free, finally, you know, he's so excited. And then everything starts to hit him. First, he's like, well, where am I? Look at all these ruins. And then he goes and he starts to see some of the bodies dropped all around and everything. And one of the things that I thought was profound is people that argue about Zoro and whether he's the next in command or whether Luffy trusts him as his right-hand man or whether it's Sanji, I'm not going to get into that argument right now, but I can tell you that so far, as of right now, he seems to show the most trust and expects the most out of Zoro. Because there's a panel where he goes and he, like, grabs Zoro, and he's not even, like, concerned that Zoro is knocked out too much. He's just like, what the hell? How could this happen? You were here. Like, you know, like, I trusted you. How could this happen with you here and me trusting you? And it's not even like a, oh my God, you know, you're so wounded. It's a like, what the hell, dude? I wasn't here. You're supposed to make sure that things still run smoothly because when I'm not here, you're in charge. And that's kind of what I took from it at this point anyway. Future events may change my mind on that, so don't go beating the comments section up over, oh, he's better because of this, he's better. I'm not saying anybody's better. I'm just saying as of right now, it appears that that's how he looks at Zoro as like his next in command. Like, if I'm not here, you have to take the helm, brother. And that's what I got from it. So we get those number of different panels, which I thought were pretty cool. And then we wind up getting to a point where, as I said, he starts getting angry, you know what I mean? And then, of course, the thing with Zoro I thought was profound. Thought it was worth mentioning. Aisa goes and finds Wiper just in this giant, you know, crater from where he got nailed. And Aisa says, wow, Wiper. And even Luffy's like, hey, the bazooka dude. He's like, that guy's pretty strong, you know? So, obviously, like, who is it that took all these people out, you know? So then you go and you find out, you know, they find out slowly but surely that obviously it was the god, it was Enel, and Robin is kind of still half conscious, and Robin calls them over, or as he approaches Robin or what have you, Robin's just like, they took the navigator, you know? He doesn't even refer to her as Nami, like the navigator, the swordsman. I like it, that's okay, whatever, you can, don't get too formal right now, hon, keep it business, so just keep showing us the cleavage. Anyways, but so that winds up, the chapter ends up shortly after that because, and this is one of the things I also wanted to show the panel of this as I talked about it, but we get, you know, obviously they're talking about just everything that's going on. We see a couple of quick panels of them kind of trying to chase down Conus, you know, it looks like, and she, of course, is just coming to warn everybody about Skypiea. It's going to fall into the sea. We, of course, saw the arc Maxim, which was really cool, but the end is really what got me, and these are the things, these are the moments that I like of Luffy. These are the moments, and I'll actually have to do a video picking out ones like this, but this is one of those moments where he finds out what's going on. He finds out that Aisa can go and can tell with the mantra, and that's why Aisa's mantra didn't work inside the snake, so that's why Enel's didn't work outside to tell there's anybody inside. They explain that as well, but some people alluded that in the comments anyway, but he says there's two voices moving around the island, right? Or she says, sorry. And then he goes, it's probably Nami and Enel, right? And then you just get Luffy and this face, man. Take me to them. And it's just, when he gets that serious look, man, and you can just see in his eyes, he draws them real small, but he's got that determined look, and he's usually bashed and scraped and a bit bloody. But I just love that unrelenting. It's just like, oh yeah? Take me to them. Not how am I going to defeat this guy that took out everybody else that was out here. None of that. Not, you know, we got to do this, we got to save that. Just take me to him. You know, it's just real simple. I got to kick Crocodile's ass, you know. I like that unrelenting, just tunnel vision, singular focus. And some people hate it and think it's a weak point. And sometimes I may have to agree with you, but a lot of times when it comes down to it, it's very simple. It's me and it's you, buddy. And I have to take care of you to keep me and everybody else around me going. So I definitely thought it was cool. Fun chapter. Just like I said, just now nail biting, you know, waiting to see what happens next. You know, we've seen this arc Maxim and oh boy, you know, and obviously Skypiea is in danger of everybody just crashing into the blue sea. You've got most of the Straw Hats and just other players that were in the game here just knocked out, unconscious, dead, bloodied, beaten, whatever. And you got Luffy and, like, you know, this 6-year-old clairvoyant girl or 8-year-old or whatever, you know, that are going on the hunt to try to, you know, obviously rescue Nami and Skypiea, I'm assuming as well, and then take down Enel. So very cool stuff. My chapter question is, though, and ultimately it's, what do you think about Luffy and his connection, like I was talking about earlier with Zoro? Whether you're for or against it, comment down below. Just don't, like I said, just don't get into that bashing crap with each other. It's nonsense. Because Zoro and Sanji are both, they're awesome characters. You know what I mean? And it's fine to like either one more than another one. It's not a big deal. I personally haven't made a decision yet. But, like I said, the flame wars are unnecessary for who's better because of. I'm just saying at this point in the story, what are your thoughts on what I brought up earlier as far as it seemed like Luffy was genuinely mad that Zoro, who he considers at this point anyway to be his right-hand man, or at least the one that would have been in charge of this whole fiasco, he's upset. He's disappointed. He doesn't even care if he's hurt, you know. But what are your thoughts on that? So, brothers and sisters, leave the answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. and maybe subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation. If you like straw hats, red shirts, or guys named Luffy, go on over to my Facebook and Instagram pages for more.